Uh, Good morning, everybody. Uh, on behalf of the Railway Enthusiast Society, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to the second international conference today being organized by the society. This is a good tradition that we have just started. The last such conference was held in the first week of March 2021, the subject being the romance of the railway. This year, the subject is slightly more forward looking, I would say, and the subject is railways of the future. I am Manoj Pande. I have worked in the railways for a long time, and somewhere during my railway journey, I also became a rail enthusiast. And it was my good fortune to have been associated and continue to be associated with the RES. We have a very dynamic president as well as lots of good members who are all involved in the preservation as well as proliferation of knowledge as far as the railway history and other technologies concerned. It's my privilege to introduce the president of our Rail Enthusiast Society, Shri Vinoo N. Mathur. Shri Vinoo N. Mathur is a professional railwayman who retired from the active railway service as member of the Indian Railways Board as a member traffic of the Indian Railways. Although actively involved in rail operations as a member of the IRTS, his first love has always been delving into the history of the railways and penning his thoughts and ideas. He has authored a book, it's a wonderful book called Bridges, Buildings and Black Beauties of Northern Railway, and is now working on his next book, which is on rail architecture. He is one of the founder members of the Rail Enthusiast Society and now leads the society as its president. I would request Sri Vinoo Mathur to kindly give a brief of the conference. Thank you very much. Sir,
Vinoo sir,
unmute.
unmute, sir.
Thank you, Manoj. On behalf of the Rail Enthusiast Society of India, I would like to extend a very warm welcome to all the participants to this conference. We are having this two-day conference. And I would also like to welcome all our speakers, particularly for the inaugural session, Sir Mark Tully, and Dr. Vivek Debroy, who is not with us, but has given a recorded talk. About the conference, let me give you a little bit about the conference. You know, a society like ours is normally associated with railway history, with railway heritage, the romance of steam, the preservation and revival of steam, the conservation of heritage buildings, preserving quaint narrow gauge lines. We in India have the good fortune of having two World Heritage Sites, the Mountain Railways of India and the Chhatrapati Shivaji Terminal Station Building, formerly called Victoria Terminus, which is one of the finest Victorian Gothic buildings in Asia. We also look into various other aspects such as railway photography, railway modeling, and so on. Our secretary will be telling you a little more about our society. So these were the kind of things we were focusing on, and we bring out a quarterly journal where we have articles on such items. And we had organized a conference last year, which was our first global conference, in which we covered subjects like these. However, this year, we have decided, instead of looking backwards, let us look forwards. There is a lot of, dynamic change taking place. The railways is a living entity and is currently undergoing rapid change. Therefore, all of us felt that this year, instead of looking at the past, we look at the future and what the future has for the railways in it. Therefore, in this conference, we plan to cover a wide range of projects. High-speed rail is one. High-speed, although it began way back in 1964 in Japan, but it is still confined to very limited parts of the world. And we have this very great example of China, where there has been transformational growth in high-speed rail. And we are working on a railway project, high-speed rail project in India. And so we hope to cover all these aspects. As far as freight is concerned, we are now in India going in for the dedicated freight corridors, which will enable India to go in for heavy haul, for much longer trains, and the segregation of passenger and rail corridors. So we will be covering some of these aspects during the conference. We are also looking at new technology in the conference. Railways is already, from a sustainability perspective, one of the best modes of transport, but we can further improve. So therefore, we will look at battery technologies and the latest developments in technology that are taking place, because we'll have a number of experts from leading multinational rail equipment manufacturers, and we will be seeing what are the kind of rolling stock developments that are likely to take place in India in the near future. We have also tried to get you a sort of international flavor by getting you speakers from the United Kingdom, Japan, Australia, which I think will give us a very diverse view of what is happening in different parts of the world. A few other topics which we have included in our panel discussion is the subject of logistics. Logistics has gained importance in India, particularly with our Prime Minister giving focus on Gati Shakti. So we hope to cover some aspects of that in our final panel discussion, as also regional rail transport in India. Regional rail transport has not been a focus area in India. It is a focus area in many parts of Europe and elsewhere in the world. But we are making a small beginning. We are inducting new technology into that. So I hope we will be able to leapfrog in that area also. So I just thought I'd mention at the very beginning that what are the areas we are trying to cover. And I do hope during the course of these 2 days, our members and the many people who have registered for this conference, over 460 people have registered for the conference. All of them are not members, but they are all people who are interested in the railways and the future of the railways. So I do hope that all the participants attending will find these 2 days useful. I once again welcome all our participants and wish you all the very best. And I hope you enjoy this non-stop, virtually non-stop 2-day conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mathur. Virtually non-stop virtual conference. That's a very nice word for this conference. And it is now my privilege to introduce the secretary of our society, the gentleman behind this magazine called The Rail Enthusiast. It's a wonderful magazine which comes out, and Mr. J.L. Singh is the editor of this magazine. He's basically a mechanical engineer by qualification and a railwayman by profession. Nevertheless, his first love is rail enthusiasm. Having spent a lifetime in the railways, he has now retired from active service, but not from the railway world. He's secretary of the Rail Enthusiast Society, as I just told you, and the editor of the magazine, which I just showed you. As part of his work with Indian Railways and Rights Limited, he has traveled widely and worked with the railways in various rail-related areas in India in all continents except Antarctica, obviously because it does not have a railway line. And this has given him a comprehensive picture of rail activity and rail enthusiasm the world over. Mr. Singh and Mr. Mathur have been the brains behind organizing this conference. And now I will request J.L. Singh sir to give a brief introduction about our society. Thank you.
Thank you, Manoj. Greetings and a very warm welcome to all rail fans, rail enthusiasts, rail aficionados, lovers of the railway, ladies, gentlemen. It is indeed a pleasure to be addressing participants for the second international conference that the Rail Enthusiast Society is organizing. Before we plunge into the core of the conference, where our theme is Railways of the Future, I would like to tell you a little about the society itself. We are still a very young society, having been incorporated in December 2015. In fact, it was the 28th of December 2015. It was in the earlier part of that year that a few of us like-minded persons decided to launch the society with the primary aim of bringing out a quarterly journal, a quarterly magazine, which would be a magazine for all rail enthusiasts. It'll be of rail enthusiasts, by rail enthusiasts, and for rail enthusiasts. With the passage of time, we have grown into a society that provides a platform for all rail enthusiasts to disseminate knowledge, air their views, and share their ideas about the railways. The question that arises is, who is a rail enthusiast? In my opinion, it's anyone who has interest in any or all activities of the railways. You may not be a railwayman, you may have no connection with the railways, but if you have a passion for and a sustained interest in any aspect of the railways, that makes you a rail enthusiast. Over the years, we have developed a number of other activities. Among them are this conference, which we now expect to be a regular feature of our annual calendar. We hope that in the coming years, we will be able to have a physical conference and not one limited to laptops and phone screens. Another activity that we have introduced last year is a monthly talk. We will be having our 20th talk later this month. As far as our magazine goes, we have already published 20 issues. One book, Black Beauties by Vikas Singh. Of course, our outdoor activities have been bogged down by the COVID pandemic. We hope that we will soon be able to restart these also. The outdoor activities include, but are not limited to, guided rail trips, visits to rail sites, debates, quizzes, training of students, etc., etc. Membership is open to any person who is a rail enthusiast, whether he or she is a rail professional or not. We also have corporate members, organizations that are interested in the railways. Young or old, male or female, from any country, you are welcome to join the society. All we need to do is to send an email or a message to me, the secretary of the society. I now hand the stage back to the master of ceremonies to take you to the heart of today's conference. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much, and over to you, Manoj.
Thank you, JL sir. As we now come to the formal part of our conference today, as you are aware, there are basically 5 different sessions. And before we start these 5 sessions, we have this great opportunity of hearing Sir Mark Tully, who is going to give the keynote address today, the inaugural address today. Sir Mark Tully, of course, as anybody knows, needs no introduction. There is no rail-related function or event that is of any consequence where Sir Mark is not present. Almost any author in our country writing about the railways must have a foreword or a blurb in any book written by him. Sir Mark Tully was born in India in what is then known as Calcutta, what was then known as Calcutta, and spent virtually all his life in this country. With the BBC for 30 years, he left the organization in 1994 and since then has been a freelance journalist and a writer. Sir Mark's professionalism and dedication can be gauged from the fact that he was made an officer of the Order of the British Empire in 1985. He was awarded the Padma Shri in 1992. He was knighted in the New Year's Honours in 2002, receiving a KBE, and in 2005 he received the Padma Bhushan. He also received BAFTA in 1985 for lifelong achievement. He was conferred the coveted Red Link Lifetime Achievement Award of the Mumbai Press Club. He is here with us today, not as a journalist, but as a passionate rail enthusiast and for his love for the railways. He has been the Vice President of the Indian Steam Railway Society and is an active member of the Rail Enthusiast Society. Ladies and gentlemen, Sir Mark Tully. Over to you, Sir Mark. Inaugural address.